It's been a while since our last puzzle game, but this week's is a pretty solid one. This week we're taking a look at Data East's Magical Drop for WonderSwan, an adaptation of their arcade puzzle series. It was released on October 14, 1999. Data East was founded in 1976 by Tetsuo Fukuda, and quickly entered the arcade gaming market with the release of Jacklot, a 1977 metal game based on blackjack. Throughout the 80s, they kept pumping out hit after hit in the arcades while also distributing arcade games by other companies such as IREM and Capcom. So naturally, when the Famicom was released and proved to be a huge success, Data East entered the console game business, creating ports of their arcade hits but also developing original series specifically for the home market, such as Metal Max. The original Magical Drop was released in 1995, although the Western release was known under the name of Chain Reaction. Magical Drop is a puzzle game that may feel reminiscent of Puzzle Bobble, as both games are fundamentally about clearing a stack of colored bubbles from the top of the screen by matching bubbles of the same color. Where they differ is that in Puzzle Bobble, you're shooting new bubbles onto the playfield, and in Magical Drop, you are grabbing bubbles from the top of the screen and moving them to different columns. Line up 3 or more of the same color in a single column, and you get those bubbles to clear. Another important distinction is that in Puzzle Bobble, the ceiling of the playfield drops after some time elapses, whereas in Magical Drop, more bubbles continue to, yes, drop from the top of the screen continually. This is where Magical Drop adds a bit more depth. Like a lot of these arcade puzzlers, the game is often played in 2-player by default, with a computer opponent substituting for a human if one isn't present. Your opponent's ability to cause chain reactions on their playfield will speed up the rate at which bubbles descend from the top of your field. But there's another variable. You and your opponent also get to choose a character at the start of the game, and that character choice is a strategic element because it influences the pattern in which your opponent's columns will descend, potentially making it harder for them to clear their board. Magical Drop for WonderSwan isn't a port of any existing version of Magical Drop, but it does reuse sprites and music from Magical Drop F Daiboken mo Raku Janai, the 4th entry in the series and the first main entry in the series to exclusively be released on home systems. It features your usual gameplay modes for these kinds of puzzlers. There's a story mode, a 30-level single-player endurance mode, a versus mode. There is also a fortune-telling mode which fits with the characters being themed around tarot cards. By the time Magical Drop 3 was released in 1997, the character roster had grown up to 24 characters, all of which were playable in the Neo Geo Pocket Color and Game Boy Color ports of that game. Magical Drop for WonderSwan unfortunately only features 8 playable characters, and outside of story mode you can't even play against CPU opponents. Hope you've got a communication cable and a friend with a copy of the game handy. The other issue is one that I've discussed at length on all of these color matching games. This is a grayscale system, and these games need to adapt themselves so you can quickly read which pieces are which colors. Puyo Puyo 2 used shades of gray and dithering, Puzzle Bobble used different patterns, and unfortunately Magical Drop somehow manages to do worse than either of those. The only feature that distinguishes differently colored bubbles from each other is the glyph that's on them. All of them are shaded in exactly the same way, meaning you have to actually read what symbol is on the bubbles instead of relying on quickly identifiable changes. So here's the real talk. If you've never played Magical Drop before, I would strongly urge you to try it. Straight up, it's not the best color matching puzzler out there. That honor goes to Puyo Puyo. But while it might not be the best or deepest game in the genre, it is my favorite one to play, and you would probably enjoy it too. But so far, all of these color matching game outros have redirected you to versions on other systems, and that's especially the case for this one. Go find yourself a version of Magical Drop 3 and give that a shot, but as much as it pains me to say this, skip it on WonderSwan.